Welcome into another exciting episode of Real Biz. I am your host, Bubba Startz, and with me today is business strategist, best-selling author, and leading futurist, Daniel Burrus. Daniel, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much. My pleasure.
The honor is all mine. I promise you. Really looking forward to today's conversation. Obviously, you're heavy in the technology world, how businesses and organizations can use it to advance with low risk. But before we get into that, I'd love to just get a little bit of your backstory and how we kind of got to where you are now.
Well, thank you. I started out teaching biology and physics, and I mentioned that only because I'm a researcher. At heart. I've started 6 companies. 5 were profitable in the first year. 4 were national leaders in the U.S. in their first year. Very unusual. So I don't just write books and give speeches and do consulting. I start businesses and rapidly grow them, which of course we'll talk about. And for quite a few decades, I have been written 7 best-selling books and given thousands, literally, of speeches and consulting about how predictable the future is and how to rapidly grow a business with low risk. And so I think that is a great way for us to tee this up.
Fantastic. Well, I appreciate that. It's nice to talk to people that have done it, not just written and speak about it. I feel like in this digital era that we've grown in, the grifters really honed in the days of social media and were telling you how to do something that they had never themselves even accomplished. And
loaded
it's nice
with that stuff. I know. It's terrible. Yeah.
It's refreshing to have someone on who has lived it and then wrote the book. I think that's the natural order of things.
Yeah, exactly. And right off the bat, I mentioned that I started out teaching and then I got started a company. So I've got a couple of key things, knowing we only have limited time, that I'd like to share with all of you, because I know some of you are starting a new business. Some of you are starting a new division. Some of you would like to rapidly grow your company. So a couple of things that helped me. Remember, I was coming from education, which means I didn't have any money. Okay. And so there was the fear of failure in going into business, because I had never had a business course. But what helped me was I thought, hey, I got more than one fear. And I laid them all out. And I realized the fear of regret for me was stronger than the fear of failure. And that allowed me to move forward boldly, number one. Okay. So think of all your fears. Don't just think of one if you're doing something, because we're all humans. And if you get right down to it, we all do have fear. Okay. Number 2, I never had a business course, so I didn't know how to compete. So therefore, I made sure that I didn't compete. And whoa, was that big. I looked at what the competition was doing so that I knew what not to do. Too many people study the competition and they become a competitor, be doing what they did. What I want to do is do what they're not doing, what they have not thought of. There's windows all over the place. I mean, if you're a retailer in a small town going up against a Walmart, if you do what Walmart does best, you'll fail. But if you look at what Walmart does badly, you will thrive. You see what I'm getting at? So I made sure I did not compete. And the third thing I'll just mention, and then we'll go into some more dialogue, is I could not afford to fail slowly. So I decided I needed to fail fast. And a lot of us in business, when we're starting something, we have success metrics. This will go from here to here to here to here to here. You should have some failure metrics, so you know which way you're going, because you don't want to be failing too slowly. It is very expensive. So that helped. And by the way, by failing fast, I learned faster, because our best successes in life do not come from our successes, my friends. It comes from our failures and the lessons learned.
Well, you're a real pro. So much value already there. I think you've already changed the minds of a lot of people that are listening and hearing some of this for the first time. This is where we're a lot alike. I'm not afraid to fail. My fear of living a life that was not lived to its fullest potential is much greater than my fear of not having enough money or of being, at risk of losing it all. To fail only means that you are learning, and to fail forward is something that I say a lot. Also, something that I say a lot is see a need, fill a need. And that's exactly how I end up as a podcaster. Daniel, 2 years ago, I was working at a factory as a welder and could have gone on with that existence ad infinitum. I saw plenty of guys that were there doing it, but I also saw the condition of their bodies, the condition of their health, the condition of their mental state. And I didn't want anything to do with it. And the fear of ending up just like them, and no offense to those people that were doing it, knowing that I had the ability and the place in time we are right now because of technological advances, especially in the Department of Artificial Intelligence, which I'm sure we're going to cover. I have the opportunity now to be more efficient than any human being maybe ever has been before. And now I've set out for the last 2 years of learning. Yes, there's been failures. There's been some pretty big ones, but there's also been some massive growth. And now we stand poised to not separate ourselves from the competition, to build our own something that other people will try to copy along the way. And I think that speaks exactly to what you're talking about. Nobody is out really covering the independent musician world. That's why I dove in as hard as I did with them, because there are tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of artists around the world that all they want to be is famous. And while I am not Joe Rogan, I can make them more famous than they were yesterday by inviting them and bringing them into a world that no one here knows who they are yet.
Exactly. Well, first of all, congratulations on your transformation, your personal transformation, and being bold. Number two, you did something really important. You were looking to the future. You see, we're going to spend the rest of our life in the future. Maybe we should think about it a little bit. And most of us don't, but you did. You started looking at the future and saying, you know, the future of my welding career is not the future I want. And you were looking at the future of other people's bodies and what was going to happen to them over time. You were looking at the future and making some strategic decisions, which I want us to do. You know, a lot of people have a wait and see. Let's wait and see what's going to happen. And by the way, you can wait yourself right out of business. So what's the alternative? So there's a couple of two areas, knowing we only have a short amount of time. I want to get into AI, but before I get into AI, let me help you with dealing with how to turn risk into a growth accelerator. All right. I've been looked to forecasting the future, 7 books, thousands of speeches and articles, and I've been right most of the time, almost all the time. How? I've learned how to separate what I call the hard trends based on future facts that will happen. That means they can't be changed, versus the soft trends that may or may not happen, which means they can be influenced. So all trends are either hard or soft. I'm teaching everybody a key ingredient right here. Example of a hard trend, because most people would say the only thing you can be certain about is death and taxes. But I would say, well, I know, hey, we're in winter, next will be spring, I'll be right. And in other words, there's lots of ways to have certainty. For example, in the United States right now, 10,000 people every day are turning 70 years old. Are they going to get chronologically younger? No. They're a hard trend, I call it. They're going to get older. By the way, we could predict a lot of problems and pre-solve them, or we could let them play out. We could see opportunities. Let me give everybody an example. Here's something that doesn't exist right now. A lot of people love to go boating, they love to go fishing, but when they get in their 80s and 90s, it's kind of hard to launch the trailer, the boat. So what if you and I designed an easy launch trailer designed for seniors and did a good job? Would we have a growing market every year? Well, yeah, we got hard numbers on that. Would we know exactly which countries to export to and which ones not? Yes, we know the aging population countries. And that matter of fact, you could go to a bank with solid future statistics and get a loan for that. Right now, there is no easy launch trailer for seniors. Now, I want you all to just ask yourself as you're watching this, raise your hand where you are right now if you think, well, we're never going to see one of those. Now, I can't even see you right now, but I know you did not put your hand up. Why? Because here's why. If it's based on a hard trend, if it can be done, it will be done. If you don't do it, someone else will. Technology. Demographics is a super category of hard trends. Another one is technology. I mean, AI is getting more powerful at an exponential rate every day. By the way, hard trend. Will you be using it to rapidly grow your company? Soft trend. I don't know. That's up to you. So when you start separating the hard from the soft, the thing I love about a soft trend, you don't like it, you can change it. The thing I love about a hard trend is I can see problems before I have them so I can pre-solve them and move forward faster. I can see disruption before it disrupts so that I can be the disruptor or let myself be disrupted. Because today you're either going to be the disruptor or the disrupted. The middle is gone. You're either going to be more relevant or less relevant. The middle is gone. Well, I think you have a choice here. Now, I don't have time to go into any more of that because I want to make sure we have time for AI. But what I want to do is just say, I've written literally books on this, Anticipatory Organization, Flash Foresight, that have been bestsellers. You can go to burrus.com and find out more. I got free resources there. I'm not even trying to sell you something. And you can join me on LinkedIn. I got over 1 million followers there. Why? Because I share things like this. So you can dig in more if you want to. But now I'm going to change the channel because AI is so important to us. Let's flip the switch just a little bit.
Yeah, I love it. I use AI a lot in our business, and not to cut you off there, but I really had one interesting question because you're sharing so much insight here. I want to get back, and we have plenty of time. Don't feel like you're rushed at all. Right. The conversation can go on. The only thing I got to do from here is go on a 5,000-mile tour for the next 3 weeks. So don't worry about me. Wonderful. When I get on the road, I get on the road. But for you, how did your previous life as a teacher and researcher, how did that influence you in your business career when you were starting out?
Well, actually, it was what I was interested in always, even in high school, was when I read about a new innovation. Again, I'm just telling you myself, but when I read about a new technology of some kind, I always asked myself, what's the future impact? So somehow I was just always looking at not just the present, but the future. I'll give you an example. Several years ago, and again, I run a research company, so we research global innovations in all areas of technology. Well, a new one came across my desk, and that is there's a new type of paint that absorbs energy during the day and glows the color of the paint at night. Now, a lot of people would say, oh, that's cool, but I go a step further than that. I ask myself, well, where could that be used? And the first thing that came to mind, since I've been to India, is there's a lot of people on motor scooters and they have their families on those things. I mean, holy cow. And by the way, their headlight is really low and poor. What if they all glowed at night? Would we have less accidents, less people dying? And I thought, oh yeah, that's a good use. And then I started thinking of other uses and ideas that weren't happening, but I knew they would if we just applied them. And I think, again, that's why I've been able to start businesses successfully. So
speaking of learning from trends, my cat can't figure out that this table is just not going to hold her the way that she thinks it is.
That's hilarious. I understand how that can be. So again, it was a transition. And when I was teaching, I had an idea for a airplane design and light airplane, experimental aircraft. And during a summer, I built it, test flew it, turned out to be a really great plane. I had 37 national locations in the first year. By the way, I never had a business loan. I did it all using principles that I teach in my materials and books and things like that. Because the reality is I was put on the planet to teach. So that's why I'm even telling you about hard trends and soft. Rather than me on this interview just giving you some trends and saying, hey, good luck to y'all, I'm saying, no. I would like you to be a much better futurist. I would like you to do what Bubba did, looking at his future and saying, you know what, there are many chapters in the book of life, and maybe it's time for a new chapter. By the way, if your book of life has become a tragedy, you need a new chapter. You are the author, not somebody else. So again, a little advice there.
Yeah, and esoterically, I think there's not enough people that understand that your reality is much more pliable than you think it is. And it starts inside of your mind. And as a creative person, a songwriter, and being a musician and having created things in my life, I know that you can literally create something from nothing at all. From a single thought, you can now have a song or whatever. Right now, it's a podcast and a network of podcasts, and it just keeps growing. But I don't think there's enough people that even really understand that they are much more in control of their life than they feel like.
Well, and not only that, Bubba, but there's much more inside us than we realize. And before this podcast, I mean, you don't know all what I've done, but actually I put myself through college playing lead guitar in a rock band. And I play a number of different instruments. As a matter of fact, I play every day. So even though I'm a business guy, you got to stimulate different parts of the brain. I've got I'm interviewing. I've got about a 20-minute break, and then I got a business call. During that 20-minute break, I'm picking up a guitar. Now, why am I doing that? Shifting my brain. I'm on a business call here. I'm going to do a little creative work, and then I'm going to go back. And you know what? That brain shifting is powerful. But I promised you some AI talk. Let me give you, first of all, a powerful resource right off the bat, and then I'll talk about how we can use it. And that is, I have actually personally used over 1,200 AI tools. Bet you haven't met many people that have done that. And you can read about, here are the best tool lists. And I've looked at those tool lists that a lot of people put out and tried them. And you know what? A lot of them are crap. They're not good. So I want to separate the wheat from the chaff. So I've tried over 1,200 tools. And what I've done is I put out a free report where I've given you the top 5 tools in a whole bunch of numbers of categories. By the way, I'll bet you don't even know the categories of ways you can apply these tools. And I gave you case studies on how different size businesses and different industries have used each one of these tools. So if you're interested in that, by the way, I also have some tips on prompting and so on. You can go to AIstrategyreport.com, download it for free. And I suggest you look through it, especially at the categories, so you can even see what it'll even do for you. Most of us don't even have a clue as to what it would even do. There's far more than ChatGPT out there, or Perplexity, or Gemini. As a matter, like I said, there's thousands of tools. Which ones are the good ones? So there you go. Wanted to give you a free resource. And I mentioned the word prompting. All right. Now, you can go to a website or you can use AI to develop a prompt for you. However, AI, here's a rule for you. It's good at getting you from 0 to 80% of whatever you're trying to do fast, not 100%, 80%. It's a first draft, not a last draft. That's why we still need us in this human world we live in. We are not made out of silicone. We're biological creatures. We think different. We create different. And AI can only give you what it's absorbed up till now from the internet. It can't do the new things that you can think of. By the way, it's not good at elevating trust. It's not good at establishing relevancy. It's not good at reading body language. It's not good at all the things that humans are so good at. So if you are using AI to do 100% of what you're trying to do, I'm going to predict your future. We're not going to need you, because AI is going to do everything you do. We don't need you anymore because AI is getting better. You need to actually really develop that human element even more and make sure, again, you're putting in that extra 20% that is what will make all of your work really, really good. Okay, so again, I'm just kind of going on, but prompting is really, really important, and it'll get you 80% there, but you need to have a really good prompt. Better prompt, the better you can create. I just talked to a guy that I know quite well. He's good with AI. And he just told me he's got this amazing prompt that's doing amazing things. If you typed it out on a piece of paper, how many pages long is the prompt? 20 pages. Now, hopefully I just changed your thinking about what a prompt is. It's 20 pages. By the way, that prompt will make him many millions of dollars. Now, most of us will have a paragraph-sized prompt and think, good enough. Or maybe 2 paragraphs and think, we got it nailed. I've got a award-winning online learning system. You can find it at burrus.com. And what I've got there is I used an AI assist, and I wrote 280 prompts to make it work amazingly well. Well, where did I have to spend my time? In developing the great prompts and then testing them. That's how you get an award-winning system. I could have let AI develop it. It would not be a reward-winning system, and it would not blow people's minds as to how good it is. So take the time, get good at prompting, because people will say, we don't need it. AI will do that for you. No, AI does part of it for you. AI does part of everything for you, not all of everything for you. This is really important for you all to really listen to.
Yeah, it took me months of using it to understand how to talk to it. And I had some friends that, kind of gave me some tips on those, and I've used those, and then I've just gotten better at talking to it and having it ask me questions back to help me develop those prompts sometimes has been very useful for me, right? Like, here's what I'm thinking about. Now take that. Now ask me questions back, and then I can answer those. And we can start having a conversation with this thing. Don't just plug it in, take the first thing that it tells you and run with it. Often you are going to be, I think, disappointed at the results, or maybe not. And maybe you don't realize or don't care enough. But if you care enough, it can do even greater things for you.
Well, one other thing for all of us business guys out there and people, and that is you can create your own, let's call it knowledge base that's proprietary to you. Now, if it's in Chat GPT, you're creating what's called the GPT. That's your own personal, all you put is what's in there. And then when you're working in it, it's not drawing from the internet, it's drawing what you put in there. And when we are using any of these AIs, of course, AI is learning from us, unless you do one of two things. Unless you get an enterprise version, which, by the way, is expensive. And if you're a mid or big company, you can afford it, but some of you can't. But there's another way, a really good way, that you can get the same level of security, meaning it's not learning off your stuff and it's secure. And that is, you can create a team. And a team, what's the smallest team? 2 people. 2 people. So, and the cost, let's say if it's ChatGPT and let's say you're paying $20 a month for it. And let's say, Bubba, you and I want to create a team so we can have security with what we're putting in there and all of that. You're paying 20, I'm paying 20. If we create a team, what's the difference in cost? You're paying 25, I'm paying 25. $5 more a piece. Whoa. So if you've got a secretary or a partner or someone else, maybe it's a team of 3 or 4. It's an inexpensive way of getting enterprise level security. I'm saying you ought to be thinking about doing that. And if you're not using chat, all the other ones have similar types of programs.
Yeah, and I use an LLM router called Abacus. That's been really great for me because it kind of runs through all of them and identifies which one would be better. Now, a lot of times it ends up back at a GPT, but a lot of times it will route different things through cloud or through, some of these other ones. Gemini, obviously great. What's great is that they all do different things a little bit better than the other. And having a router in that capacity has been extremely influential for me, because then I don't have to learn how to talk to all of the different ones. It kind of does that work for me for the same price that I would pay to have access to all of, or, less than I would pay to have access to all of them.
Yeah. Just as a little note, though, most of the routers, including that one, they're giving you, in reality, they're giving you access to the free versions of those versus all the paid versions. So you're not getting the full benefit of each one, but it does let you discover which ones you tend to use the most that you would want to elevate to a higher level paid version. So just be careful of that. They don't really reveal that in their advertising. They say one small price gives you all of them, but they're giving you all of not the paid versions. Just so you understand.
Well, good to know. And I don't know that with what we've created so far, if it was necessary, now the next steps in our thing. But like you said, it's kind of informed us a little bit as to which one should we go to invest in heavily that we would do, right? And which one we trust to do the job.
The real beauty. You're learning off of a wider scale. So I like and think you should be using that. But you should be using it to educate yourself now, saying, all right, it's always the ones I like the best are these 2 or 3. Maybe I need to now concentrate on those 2 or 3.
Right. Yeah. Always learning and growing. And that's the beauty of AI to begin with, is that it is always learning and growing its knowledge base. And the reason that we have the exponential growth that it's been on and will continue in that trajectory, I'm sure, for a lot longer than people realize.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. But again, it's here's a principle for everybody, and it's not the tool; it's how you use it. So it's all about how we apply it. It's about how we use it. A simple, quick example. I know some people that can pick up a smartphone, make a phone call, and make $1 million on that call. I know people that can pick up a smartphone, make a call, and lose $1 million. The difference, it's not the phone. Is that a Samsung or an Apple? It has nothing to do with that. So again, it's not the tool, it's how you use it. And this is true with AI or any other tool. One other little thing I want to draw your attention to. There's a lot more than AI that is creating huge, giant opportunities. Actually, again, I research all areas of technology innovations. And hey, as long as I brought it up, I'm going to give you another free resource. Every year, I publish a list of the 25 top hard trend technologies, the top technologies that are shaping the future. And I talk in that report, which is free, about how to think about it strategically in your business and which ones, because it's a lot more than just AI, you may want to implement to accelerate and grow much faster. You can get that report at 25, the number 25, techtrendsreport.com. Download it for free and get into it. And I think you don't have to be a technologist. You know what I want you to be? Aware. I want you to be aware of it, because there may be some things in there you didn't know you could do. Matter of fact, let me give you an example. Matter of fact, I'm going to share right now a multi-billion-dollar business hard trend idea. And by the way, if you don't do it, someone else will. Why? It's based on hard trend. So let me give you, there's something in there called exoskeletons. Now, an exoskeleton is something you can put on your legs or around your arms. And they, of course, hard trend, are getting smaller and lighter every year. Okay. And a 90-pound nurse in Japan can lift a 200-pound patient and easily put that patient in bed. All right. So that's the power of an exoskeleton. And so let's just think of, here's what I do. I think of exoskeletons. How might they be used? Let's look at the hard trends. Let's look at demographics. I talked about the growing 10,000 a day, turning 70, getting older and older. What happens when you get into your mid 80s and 90s? People tend to fall. People tend to fall. They break a hip. Often that can be not just painful, but that could be deadly. I mean, the two big things that happen to seniors that usually ends in death is a broken hip or, it's a heart attack or something like that. But let's just talk about falling. Why do they fall? Well, one of the reasons they fall is their little muscles, not the big muscles, the little muscles aren't being used much and they get weak. So when you're young, if you trip or you stumble a little bit, you can recover fast. An 80-year-old, boom, they're down. And they may not get up again. So why don't we, you and I, why don't we create a exoskeleton for seniors? It goes around their legs up to their hip. So when they're getting out of a chair, they're going up steps, they're walking along, they have the power of a 20-year-old and the coordination of a 20-year-old, but they're 85 or 90. First of all, that does not exist. Now, I would like you to raise your hand if you think we're never going to see one of those. All right, I already know. None of you put your hand up. By the way, I'm named in dozens of patents because of what I just did with you. I've started, 6 companies. I could start thousands of companies, but I don't have time to start thousands of companies. What I'd rather do is have you start them. So you can innovate with low risk and high reward by using hard trends and soft trends. You'll get better at them as you work along. Pick up the Anticipatory Organization as a book or whatever. Get into it. Get on LinkedIn. Again, I share a lot of this stuff for free. Get into it. Get good at it so that you can move forward faster. Get that AI report. Look through it. Get better at it. Pick a couple of tools that you didn't even know existed, because I've already vetted them ahead of time. You can try them all for free. Wow, how great is that? And if you find one that you really like, then you know, okay, that's worth investing. So let's make sure that we're shaping our future.
Well, and we still have the chance to be inspired. Go read the reports, read the trends, read these brilliant ideas that you're putting out there and see what inspires you to keep going, because you're going to need that inspiration to keep following the path, right? And I think that's what you've come to understand throughout your career is that, yes, I can see the trends and I would much rather give you the idea and watch you go chase it. I'm busy enough, young man.
Exactly. There is more opportunity today than any other time in human history to not just change, but to transform every product, every service, every career for that matter. So let's not just sit back and have a wait and see. Or worse yet, if you already have an existing business, I'll protect and defend the status quo. Instead, what I'd like you to do is embrace and extend. Embrace the new and extend its reach. And let me share one last concept, because again, I'm a teacher. I just love to help people. And that's the future view principle. And here's what that is. How your employees, how your kids, how your spouse, how everyone you know, how you view the future shapes to a great extent how you act in the present. Think about it. Right now, some people are buying Apple stock. Some people are selling it. The difference, their view of Apple. Some kids are thinking of going to college. Some kids are thinking of going to drugs. What's the difference? It's all about future view. So how you view the future shapes how you act. By the way, how you act will shape your future. Your future view will determine the future you. And I think most of our future view is based on a rear view mirror view, not a windshield. That's why I'm giving you these resources. I want to have you put on the bright lights and look out the windshield out into the future with more clarity, with more certainty, with those hard trends. So you can see what's up ahead. You can see the opportunities that were hidden from view before, so you can take advantage. And Bubba, you did that. You looked at your old future and you looked down the road and said, you know, I don't like that future anymore. So you created a new one. And I think I'm encouraging you to do what Bubba did, what I did, and what others did. And that is, think about your future view. How much is it related to the past and is actually getting more and more obsolete every year? And that doesn't mean you have to go down with it. Now, you just need a new future view based on the new hard trends that are shaping the future, and look for the opportunities for you in it. And then instead, big lists never get done. So here's what I'd like you to do. Forget the things you should be doing. Forget the things you could be doing. You don't have time for that. Pick one or two things that you have determined you must do, because if I don't, I will not be happy going forward. I will not be satisfied. I will not be thriving going forward, even in a world of chaotic change.
Absolutely brilliant conversation, sir. I appreciate your time. I have some reading to do on my my journey here when I get some downtime in the back seat, and really looking forward to my new favorite LinkedIn follow and absorbing all of this information. I hope everyone else who's listening and watching does the same and thinks about their future. Anything else that you want to touch on before we go?
Well, the biggest thing you can do is take action too. Remember, we can do a lot of thinking, but it's that taking action. And again, there's more inside of you yet to explore. Let's make sure we're exploring what's inside of us as well. Thank you.
Thank you for all the knowledge that you've shared with us today. And thank you for being part of the scene.
You got it. My pleasure.